AI will be able to create a unique piece of content for every user or personalize that content to the user based on what they like. So, that's what the future looks like for us.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory. Today with me we have James Creech, that is the SVP Strategy at Brandwatch. If you're new to the show, you can follow us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We have new guests every single Wednesday morning. Enjoy the show. Hey James, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Alessandro. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I've been seeing all your posts on LinkedIn over, the past months and years. So finally, we're able to make this episode and go through a lot of things, right? All your predictions and social media, what is happening in the creator economy, what happening, all these social media battles, right? And so on. So it's going to be very, very packed. I already know as an episode and I love it. But first of all, who is James? What what are you building lately? What are you working on? And tell us a bit more about your journey so far.
So I'm an entrepreneur who's worked in influencer marketing in the creator economy for over a decade. I started my career in ad tech, working at a startup here in LA. Spent 2.5 years there, and then worked in the MCN heyday, right? Working with creators in helping them grow their brands and work with advertisers. And around that time, this was still the early days of helping digital talent. We were doing brand deals mostly by hand, right? Very manual. It was screenshots, spreadsheets, email.
Mm-hmm.
You probably remember those days too,
Oh yeah.
right? So out of necessity, my two partners and I decided to start building some software. And that was the inspiration for what became Paladin. So we launched our business, Paladin, the influencer marketing platform, in 2016, grew that over 6 years. Sold the business to Brandwatch last year. Brandwatch is a big consumer intelligence, so social listening, social media management platform, and wanted to expand into influencer marketing. So we sold the business to Brandwatch, and I came aboard to lead strategy. So focusing on corporate development, strategic partnerships, and other kind of long-term initiatives within the business. So that's my background in a nutshell. In addition to my quote unquote day job, right? I'm an angel investor, an active advisor for first time founders and early stage entrepreneurs. I do a lot of M&A advisory work, which is fun to help other entrepreneurs navigate the sale process. And I'm active on LinkedIn, right? I've been a podcaster for a number of years, though relatively delinquent about uploading new episodes recently. So I've been more active on LinkedIn, where I share news, updates, and insights around the creator economy.
Amazing. And how did the, let's say, influencer marketing change it, right? Because both of us have been in for like 10 plus years, I guess, right now. So how did it change it? Like, is it for the best? Is it like actually for the worst? What is trending right now? And also, what do you think that is the position right now for brands and content creators and influencers? Like, as you said before, it was very manual work, a guess type of numbers and metrics. Now we said you have all these platforms and so on, but at the same time, sometimes because of the everything that you have, maybe there is more confusion. So what do you think that is happening right now compared to 10 years ago?
Oh gosh, there's been so many changes, right? In the early days, we talked a lot about YouTube. YouTube was kind of the first social platform where this activity happened. We had YouTubers. This was before the term influencer, before creators became more prevalent. Then you had Vine, Instagram, right? Obviously over time, Facebook, Snapchat, Musically, now TikTok, right? A lot of evolution in terms of the platforms that are important, the content formats that influencers are using. So it's constantly evolving and changing. At the same time, it's not really anything new. We've had celebrity endorsements, affiliate marketing, brand ambassadors for a long time. These are just the new incarnations of word of mouth or influential celebrity marketing, which has taken a new form in the digital era. I guess one of the trends I'm particularly excited about or tracking closely these days is the growing importance of B2B creators, right? On social platforms, certainly like LinkedIn is, I think, the obvious choice that comes to mind. But now you've got Threads, from Instagram. You've got, of course, Twitter, but also people sharing educational content on TikTok or YouTube, and even off of social on newsletters or podcasts. So the rise of the B2B creator, these professionals who are sharing their experience, is kind of an interesting trend to watch.
Amazing. And we're going to talk about B2B influencers and content creator later during the episode, I have some questions for you on that, because I know that you're
Awesome.
passionate about it. I'm also as well. And also we touched base on that in a previous episode. So very interesting topic. But, let's jump into that. So as mentioned before, you have a lot of different predictions that I think that you posted either last year or at the beginning of the year. And so very curious to go and, each of them, basically analyze them, right? Because predictions sometimes could be hit or miss. Sometimes you get it totally. Other times you think, or all society thinks that's going to go in a certain direction, and then things changes, right? Especially on social media, it's so sometimes unstable in a way, right? To really predict what is going to happen. So the first one that you said, it's about robots. It said robots will take over your social feed, and you said, like, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube will copy TikTok's approach to algorithm discovery and content recommendation from these from those that you don't follow, right? So instead of the typical thing at the beginning, you follow certain people and then you go on a network base. This is basically on interest based, right? So how do you feel? It's like, do you think is that still the case? Is are we gonna still see more on the discovery mode from the next years to come?
Absolutely, right. And to put it in context, the first version of social networking, MySpace and Facebook, were these broadcast platforms where we essentially brought our real life experiences into the digital world, right? So you and I were our friends. We could connect on Facebook or MySpace and have a conversation. But over time, we found it was more interesting to follow professional creators, right? And that's where platforms like Instagram and YouTube rose to prominence. Still that broadcast mechanism, but a professional creator or celebrity does something interesting pretty much every day, versus our friends maybe do something interesting once a month, right? Just the volume of content and experience is slightly different. And now we've entered an era ushered in by TikTok where AI can curate the best of the internet, personalized, tailored exactly to your tastes and preferences 24/7, right? So I don't have to go looking for the content. It learns what I like and it'll suggest that to me. And all of the other platforms are following suit, right? Instagram made a big push in this direction last year. You probably remember the backlash, right? The Kardashians and others were leading the charge of make Instagram again, and so they backed off. But clearly, they're still trending in that direction. YouTube with Shorts, Snapchat with its Spotlight feature, and these other short form players are leaning into AI curation and algorithmic discovery. And we're only going to see that accelerate as generative AI tools become more popular for creators and on social in general. Eventually, AI will be able to create a unique piece of content for every user or personalize that content to the user based on what they like. So, that's what the future looks like for us.
Interesting. Also, when you say about the difference between seeing your friends posting maybe once in a while, or also maybe not that interesting sometimes, right? Because it could be food that you're eating or whatever, compared to maybe a celeb or an important influencer that might have a more exciting life, right? And some YouTubers, some TikTokers, every day they do something different, and that's why you want to keep on the network, right? Sorry, on the interest base more than the network of people that and also on that, you mentioned, of course, many times about TikTok, and TikTok made a revolution, right? So you also wrote about the short form, and you said short form videos will remain a key battleground, right? So everyone is taking the attention there. I have a couple of questions for you on these. One, what do you think is the future of short form videos? And two, do you think that it's gonna stay? And that, what I mean is that everyone started realizing that a lot of TikTokers were not able to actually form a strong relationship with their followers. What I say all the time is that many TikTokers are commodities, right? If they get removed from the entertainment app, right, someone else is going to take your place. So what do you think about that? The balance between content creators with short form videos and also long form videos?
Well, the short form video is really popular among users, right? We like the ability to kind of quickly see snackable short pieces of content. It's also really popular for platforms and advertisers because it gives you longer session times and the ability to serve more advertisements, right? So if you look at time spent with youth, right, on various social platforms, TikTok is heads and shoulders above the competition, right? Like the average user spends over 90 minutes a day on TikTok, which is pretty wild. And then if you're watching 100 pieces of content versus an average session on YouTube, maybe 2 videos, Instagram, maybe a dozen photos, videos, carousels. If you're watching 100 videos on TikTok, that's a lot more opportunities to serve an ad, right? You've got interstitials or pre-rolls kind of between video. And that just means better monetization opportunities for the platform. So given those economic incentives, right, I think short form video is pretty sticky and it's not going anywhere. You raise a challenge though, which is that as a creator,
Hmm.
you don't have as much staying power or recognition as you do on other platforms, because the AI is going to make you hop around from one video to the next, and you might not be looking at the profile or the account that surfaced that. Whereas on YouTube, where it's more search driven, or Instagram, where you follow certain creators and you want to see everything that they post, you don't have that same experience on TikTok. So that creates some anonymity, right, for these
Hmm.
large personalities, which is wild, because you go to an event like VidCon, and these TikTokers with 1 million+ followers try to do a meet and greet, and they have no one show up, or a fraction of the
Hmm.
attendance of a YouTuber with 10,000 subscribers. So it just goes to show you that a follower has a different value on each platform. And I think what creators need to remember is that at the end of the day, the platform
Hello!
owns
Is your
your
brand
audience.
ready to
So you
amplify
need to
its
find ways to
reach?
convert
Well, the
them off
Influencer Marketing
platform
Factory
to
is here
build a
to do
direct
just that.
fan
We are a
relationship,
global
and then also
influencer
have a chance
marketing
to monetize
agency
them.
helping brands ignite their growth, from influencer identification to campaign strategy, handling legalities and agreements to managing shipping and logistics. We have it all covered. We work with hundreds of brands across different verticals, from Fortune 500 companies to DTC brands. And we don't just stop there. With detailed ROI analysis, we help brands like yours measure success, transforming impressions into actionable conversions. You can find us at the influencermarketingfactory.com, or just search the Influencer Marketing Factory on Google.
Totally, and that's why we're all the time talking more, going from audience to community, right? So an active community that actually can interact with you, and I'm pretty sure that you've also been in some Discord channels, right? And servers where actually there are YouTubers being like, "Hey, roast me for this video. Tell me which thumbnails do you prefer," right? So, do you have any either case studies, or you think success stories of YouTubers or other content creators going from from audience to community? Anyone comes to your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can just cite some examples of my favorite
Yeah.
YouTubers, folks like Cody Ko, Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, right? And look, YouTube will remain an important part of their strategy. They create content
Mhm.
there. It's the top of the funnel. It's the discovery mechanism. But increasingly, they're converting people to come to my live show, listen to my podcast, follow my content on other platforms, join my Patreon or my private membership. And so all of those create additional touch points between the creator and the fan. So it deepens that fandom experience, but it also gives them more of a chance to kind of diversify, so they reduce risk from their primary platform, and then build a relationship and multiple touch points with that person, especially the super fans, off platform.
Absolutely, very important to we discussed it many times. Minimize, right, the risk of being all in one, like place all the eggs in one basket. Also, then multiply your revenue stream even when you're not working somehow, right? So
Exactly.
memberships, sponsorship, and like private membership, and so on. And so your third, prediction here. So is we go from TikTok, YouTube, they work very well, Instagram now, threads. So for everything that works well, there are also things that have maybe a peak of visibility, and then they basically plummet, and that is Be Real. And you said Be Real will be gone. Now this was like a few months ago. I was personally never really bullish on it. I thought it was an okay idea, but just a feature, to be honest, and something that you do it maybe with your friends, but again, after a while, it's, I don't know. Personally, I find it a bit boring, to be honest. What do you think about it now? So, apart from Be Real, and you can comment on that, why do you think that many apps they have this peak of audience attention and everything? What was also the other name there? Paparazzi and also others, right? They
Yeah,
they
or
have like,
Dispo, right? Yeah.
right, the Dispo, for example, I mean, in that case, it was also like the scandal and everything that kind of,
Mhm.
ruined the growth.
Right.
Why do you think that it's, for Be Real, was it like, so successful? What happened there? Why these apps are not able to get retention and traction?
Well, first of all, it's hard, right? Like building a new
Hmm.
social platform is incredibly challenging. And I made this prediction close to a year ago, so it was a hot
Yeah.
take at the time. It's probably become a bit more of a mainstream opinion by now, and it's not a criticism, right? I think Be Real struck a chord and captured the cultural zeitgeist, built something really cool and powerful. It was also nice to see, a French startup be very successful, right? Like most of these platforms come out of Silicon Valley and very US centric. So it's nice to kind of we want more social platforms. We want to have success stories from all over the world. I think the challenge with Be Real was, first of all, you have incumbents who are looking to copy the new features, and we've seen this play out time and time again. Snapchat gets really popular because of stories, ephemeral content. Instagram and then later Facebook come along, copy that. You even had YouTube and Twitter, right, launching copycat versions. Over time. Didn't really work out. Most of those platforms have moved away from the story format, but it's become kind of ubiquitous on platforms where it makes sense. So you still have Instagram stories, and it's become a really popular feature. You had the same thing with live audio. Clubhouse rose to prominence, right? Everyone gets excited about social audio during the pandemic. The hype cycle kind of plays out, and we didn't figure out a real community for creators or monetization strategy. And so people move on. Those features get copycatted by LinkedIn, Twitter, et cetera. And now the latest is this dual camera format, and then also the ability to have the 2-minute prompts, right? This kind of spontaneous photo where we're capturing real moments, right? That's a reaction against the perfect, polished, beautiful image you portray on Instagram. So there's something there that, they struck something, but the challenge is converting that initial success into sustained momentum, right? If TikTok and others are going to roll out a copycat feature, you need to continue to innovate. You need to develop, native talent on that platform, give new creators a chance to grow in popularity, but also have a monetization plan. You can't just say, we hope you get big and then you can figure out how to convert to brand deals, because that's not sustainable anymore. Creators need, a really solid plan on how to build a business.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Back in the day it was like, oh, it's a hobby. Maybe I'm going to make a few bucks. Now you need to have a plan. Then what happened at the time with Vine, right? I feel that they didn't have a plan for monetization, and all these people were like, yeah, I'm doing all this content for free. Let me go and run to YouTube, right? And many of them, they become big YouTubers, right? And then
it's such a shame. I mean, some incredible talent that started on Vine, and you're right, like many of them have gone on to be successful at King Bash, and obviously like Logan and Jake Paul started on Vine and figured out how to become the reality TV stars of YouTube. So there clearly was an evolution there, but such a missed opportunity, I think, from Twitter, that this was the first short form video app. It was incredibly creative, incredibly amazing content and talent that grew up on that platform. And Twitter ended up shutting it down. And here we are, fast forward, and TikTok is so successful. If Vine had figured out just how to kind of continue to innovate and expand on that opportunity, it could be a very different world today.
Yeah, it would be interesting, sort of a variation of the world that we have right now with Vine still instead of TikTok would be still different, very different apps in my opinion. Many people say that they were like similar. In my opinion, were like quite different on many aspects, but absolutely would be been interesting to see if Twitter capitalized on that, right? And now also like something that I'm very interested in also, and there is your fourth prediction is about influencers. You said influencer will become a direct response channel, and you say affiliate marketing will overtake pay to post as brands embrace performance driven influencer campaigns. Can you expand a bit more on that? So even for people maybe that might not be familiar with the concept of affiliate market and performance driven, if you can just explain a bit more what do you mean by that?
Most influencer campaigns today are pay to post, right? The brand asks an influencer to produce a piece of sponsored content. They pay them a fee, and then it goes live on the influencer's channel. I think increasingly we're going to see what we have seen, right? A shift from overall awareness, so top of funnel campaigns, to moving down funnel and focusing on conversion, and influencers building longer term partnerships with brands and driving, whether it's affiliate deals through platforms like LTK or Magic Links, but also increasingly doing these kind of always on branded sponsorships. And so given that influencer marketing is so effective, right, brands continue to come back and spend with influencers because it works, right? These creators have a loyal, engaged audience. They've built trust with their fans, and that allows them to convert to customers very well. We're going to see more and more brands leveraging creators as a direct response channel, not just as a top of funnel vanity metric or awareness play.
Since we're talking about, we went from like these just like you post to pay to post, and then looking more into the affiliate marketing and so on. One of your prediction also it's about social commerce, right? We also working on our report about social commerce when it was like this is going to be the next big thing. Actually didn't happen. The US is still struggling with that. What is happening in China is working well now for 10 years. Indonesia also are doing a lot of things there. The UK, like TikTok UK, has the opportunity, the possibility to buy in-app directly without leaving the app. So in a very smooth process there. So why do you think that social commerce is not taking is not having the right traction in the US and I would say the majority of Europe as well?
Obviously, there are significant cultural differences between US and Europe and China. So that is, a large part of why we haven't seen as strong adoption here. I think there's opportunity. It just takes time, right? We're educating the market. More and more people are getting comfortable shopping online, shopping from influencers. And what's surprising is we're not seeing the success driven necessarily by the platforms. You have Instagram shops, TikTok shops, and the platforms will continue to invest there. But increasingly, like the real success stories in the West seem to be these off-platform solutions like Whatnot, Orca, Network, TalkShop Live, right? All of these interesting combinations of media, so creating unique content, hype, and drops around a specific influencer or a specific piece of unique content, and the social shopping experience. They're combining that technology and that media or entertainment expertise in a new environment off the core platforms. I think that's where we're going to continue to see the success here in the West.
What do you think of technically speaking? Because sometimes I found that social commerce is still, for certain platforms, it's still a bit difficult to navigate, right? You basically, not all the products, you can buy them directly on the app. You have to go through a third-party website that usually is embedded in the browser of the social media that doesn't have the same cookies or login. You have to re-enter your credit cards and so on. Why do you think that social media are not offering yet like a real integration with that? And also second question on that, why do you think that majority of social media have not yet included either promo code or a discount code for influencers so that they can also make money again with sort of affiliate marketing? Like, why are we so slow in this process?
It's shocking, right? You would think some of these things would be so easy, especially the idea of promo codes or coupon codes, because if the influencer can provide something of value to their audience, hey, here's a discount you get from being my fan, and then that gives you nice tracking to report back to the brand. It seems like a win for everybody. I do hope we see more of those types of activations, but it is surprising that the platforms haven't really natively figured that out yet.
Yeah, it's very I don't know. All the time that I see what is happening in China, and they have all these things happening during let's say live stream shopping, for example, right? So it's time sensitive. There is FOMO. There are very big promo discounts. For example, if you only join now during the live streaming, it's going to be 70% off. Or if you do social commerce, maybe you're going to have a big discounts on shipping or shipping for free. I'm not seeing the same in the West. So that's why I think it's missing enough incentive. I don't know if you agree on that, but I think that incentive part is missing. And in that case, I'm gonna just go on Amazon, right, to find the same whenever I want instead of being there. So
I think you're right. There's too much friction in the process right now. We need to make it easier for people, and then we also need to provide the right incentives to creators and brands to align the shopping activity.
And talking about incentive, I want to also jump back to one other of your prediction that is about TikTok ad, right? And all the time, incentive might be interesting for everyone involved, right? So social commerce should be incentive for the user, that is the customer, but also for the brands, right? And then another incentive should be also for content creators, right? So one of your prediction was TikTok will expand at the monetizations, right? So what do you think there might be some other opportunities? Because YouTube has the CPM models, you can put different ads segments in. With TikTok, it's a bit more difficult. They're trying to do something similar to put ads next to your post and everything. How can you help content creators potentially if you were TikTok?
So TikTok has a few monetization options for creators today. They have the Pulse program, which is ad revenue sharing available for the top 4% of videos every month. They have a variety of creator funds. Sometimes they run challenges and bonuses. And then, through live streaming, you can get kind of tips and donations. And in fact, TikTok outperforms all of the competitors when it comes to live monetization
Mm-hmm.
from fan tipping. So they've gotten some things right, but I really do think that ad revenue sharing, that ad monetization piece, is so essential for most creators. You look at YouTube, which is really the gold standard for creator monetization, and they pay out roughly 50% of the revenue they collect from advertisers every year to creators, right? That's a pretty powerful thing, and it's billions of dollars, and a lot of that comes from ad revenue sharing. So they launched with Shorts back in February, the monetization program, which allows creators that qualify for the YouTube Partner Program to be eligible for ad monetization. Now you have to meet certain requirements, certain number
Mm-hmm.
of uploads and viewership, but it's a lot lower threshold than just the top 4% of content. So I think that puts the pressure on TikTok and other platforms to really figure out ad monetization. I suspect TikTok will announce something before the end of the year. I think they have to remain competitive, and then all eyes will be on Reels for both Facebook and Instagram, as well as potentially Spotlight, from Snapchat to provide better ad revenue share.
Yeah, I have this feeling that, as you correctly said, if they stop integrating new things and all the time incentivize people, at the end of the day, it's not a hobby anymore for anyone here involved, right? It's a
No.
proper job. You spend many hours in editing, getting your follower base and everything. So yeah, I do agree. Like the moment that either one of these is gonna stop giving enough to content creators, they're gonna fly somewhere else, right? I have this
Yeah.
feeling. So and on the contrary of content creators that they are human beings, right? They have feelings, they have their own things to take care of, and families and jobs and school. Then on the other side you have virtual influencers, right? That they are basically they don't have feelings apart from maybe the developer that is writing the code, or the graphic designer designing the CGI. And so it's so much different, right? Because you can still have something there, but without necessarily having to fly someone in or asking for availabilities, right? So you said that more brands will collab with virtual influencer, and it also said brands will seek to cash in on the growing popularity of CGI influencers. So first of all, for people listening, who is a CGI influencer? Like, if you had to describe it.
Little Michaela is an incredibly popular example, right? These AI generated or computer generated influencers that speak and sound like a creator that you might follow. And
Mm-hmm.
people build these relationships, these parasocial bonds with virtual influencers, much like they do a regular creator. But it gives the brand a little bit more comfort and control over who this person is, what they're going to say, right? It's a little bit more of a polished presence. Another good example is Barbie, right? Like Mattel has leaned
Mm-hmm.
into revising or revitalizing the Barbie brand and bringing Barbie to life as a virtual influencer. You have the Barbie movie now, right? Kind of continuing to showcase the power of that marketing engine. And so they've been really savvy with their social strategy and leveraging virtual influencers to, invite a new generation of fans to support Barbie.
Do you think that is mostly for younger generation because it's something that it comes from maybe more the gaming side, for example, so people used to CGI, or do you think that can be also adapted to, let's say, older generation that are not very familiar with that type of relationship between a human being and something that is not real?
It probably appeals primarily to kids and younger
Mm-hmm.
audiences, but I think that could change over time, right? You have anime and animation content becoming more popular even for adults. Some of the most popular TV series are animation content, and so if you can bring those characters to life or create content for older audiences that leverages virtual influencers, I think we will absolutely see more of that activity happening and people being excited
Mm-hmm.
about virtual influencers.
Interesting. I'm also curious too. There was like a sort of peak, and then it went down, and then peak again. So he's trying to stabilize a bit more, similar to other categories in the influencer marketing. And fantastic. So these were the majority of the predictions that I wanted to check on. But after that, many other things, right, appeared on social media. Industry, of course, and some of them it's that have been like asking for more than a year and was like, why the heck YouTube doesn't have an A/B testing for thumbnail? And it was like more than a year ago, and finally the news came out and everything. It's just for I think a few beta users to test it out. So first of all, what do you think about it? And also, do you think that this can be the not the beginning, but can it be a big support to going from again, homemade sort of like videos, and also trying to understand like, your data and metrics to a more professional approach to, video making and content creation.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, YouTube announced the A/B testing feature. It's in a beta testing phase now, primarily for large creators. They're going to roll it out to a broader beta over the course of this year, and then plan for a general public release in 2024. People have been clamoring for this feature for a long time, so very strong excitement around VidCon and the announcement. And look, I think a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of YouTube creators are data nerds who love obsessing about thumbnail performance and click-through rates and impression, view-through rates, all that kind of fun stuff. So this is another just tool in the toolbox that helps creators really understand what's important. And if you think about it, the thumbnail is, the front page, right? It's the listing, the advertising that invites people to come, to watch your content. And for a big creator like a Mr. Beast, that can mean the difference of hundreds of thousands or millions of views, right? If you get it right. So they spend a lot of time, care, attention, money, resources, obsessing over these thumbnails and making sure that it's reflective of the content. You want to have a effective click-through rate, but also a high view-through rate. The watch time needs to be strong. So getting that just right is so critical. And that's why I think YouTube wanted to release a native feature for A/B thumbnail testing.
Absolutely. Good thumbnail could make or break, right? The numbers that they're gonna, achieve during the month. And do you think that other social media are missing anything for content creators? So now the A/B testing, YouTube has now, I think, more like metrics, for example, so for shorts. So like they're integrating, but do you think that they are still, and this could be for TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, do you think that anything crucial is missing right now to make it this even more professional for content creators?
Oh gosh, there's a laundry list of features on my wish list for various platforms. In general, a lot of platforms could improve the analytics they provide to creators. There's been a bigger push for this over the years to, have a better studio or creator analytics experience. Sometimes that also involves, providing API access and support for API metrics to third-party developers, so they can build, tools and functionality on top of the native platform analytics that they offer. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn these days, so I've got a whole laundry list of features I wish LinkedIn would provide, like better audience demographic data, ability to kind of filter or search for your historical posts, so that you can share them or revisit analytics and post performance. So yes, there's always things that the platforms can improve to help creators out.
And I love now that you're mentioning about LinkedIn, because many people, yourself, myself, many others, we have the creator mode on, right? So for people that don't know, it's basically just this way to have more features and tools to help being a content creator on LinkedIn, right? That is primarily B2B, but it's I think that they did a great job, right, in going from just network based to expanding, right? So you are very active there. What works and what doesn't? Like if you are a content creator or someone that is a professional that wants to grow more on LinkedIn, can you give us a bit of some tips and tricks if you go now today on LinkedIn, how to enhance your profile, or like how to get, I don't want to say viral, I don't like that term, but like how can you get in front of more I would say targeted people that might become your customer tomorrow?
Well, first of all, LinkedIn is an incredibly powerful platform, particularly for professionals like us in our industry, because the audience is tailored specifically to the folks you want to reach. So B2B decision makers, marketers, industry professionals are on LinkedIn. And as you highlighted, the platform has been investing significantly in moving from just a job board, right? A resume drop where you go once every few years to look for a new job or keep in touch with old colleagues, to becoming a daily content destination, right? And more people are getting their news from social media, and that extends to LinkedIn, right? People look to LinkedIn for news, announcements, insights from their trusted network. And if you think about the creator mode, which I absolutely recommend for people who are interested in sharing their expertise or becoming a creator on the platform, fewer than 2% of LinkedIn profiles have, or around 2%, have LinkedIn creator mode activated. So it's still pretty early and nascent. There's a chance to kind of be an early adopter and lean into leveraging the creator functionality. What that means is you get the ability to showcase topics that you write about. So you can include up to 5 hashtags on your profile. You also change the default behavior from a connection to a follower. So you can start to attract followers who just want to kind of read your content or follow along. And look, yeah, you ask for tips. So there's so many things I could get into about how to improve your performance. The first is figuring out your style and tone of voice. Like, what does your audience care about? And how do you master, writing for the platform? The second piece is thinking about the hook and the format of the post, right? So even just the kind of the layout and the design of how you structure the writing, how you break it up and use visuals or other media to kind of tell the story is important. You also want to make sure you're optimizing for the algorithm. So there are best practices around when you should post and how to engage your community to ask questions or share their perspective in the comments. You want to convert a viewer into someone who follows you. So like on YouTube, where you invite people to like and subscribe with your content, that tells the algorithm, hey, this is a valuable piece of content that you should share with more people. You want to kind of follow those similar best practices on LinkedIn. I could go on and on. I share a lot of these tips on LinkedIn. So for those who are interested, I would encourage you to just connect with me or follow my content on LinkedIn. And I also teach a course with Dylan Harari called LI Mastery. So if you go to limastery.com or visit my profile, you can learn more about the courses that we teach, training people how to do thought leadership and build their personal brand on the LinkedIn platform.
Amazing. Yeah, I know that people can get so much from LinkedIn because, apart from the vanity metrics is where the connection happens, right? On the contrary, maybe of 1 million, views on TikTok that, yeah, they can bring also sales, of course, and everything, but maybe not that type of relationship on the B2B side. With LinkedIn, maybe you can all accumulate 20 likes, but the quality ones, and maybe a couple of comments that can open to a conversation, and who knows, right? It's all about the people that might know in the future career, right?
I mean, I'll share my experience. I think you and I met on LinkedIn years and years ago, even before maybe Creator Mode launched, but it's been such a valuable platform for me in my career. Certainly to connect and meet really interesting people, fascinating entrepreneurs who are building good businesses, but also to keep in touch with old friends and to learn, about what's going on in my industry. And, I really started being more active on the platform kind of 2020, 2021. I had friends encouraging me for years, literally years, like, hey, you should start to share your thoughts on LinkedIn. And I made all the excuses that I think everyone does. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't know what to say, right? Like, how do I figure out how to do this? But something ultimately inspired me to just kind of commit to it, and the results blew me away. Right, I'm still surprised to this day the opportunities that I've gotten for investing, advising, new clients, meeting really fascinating people. So I highly recommend it. It's an incredible place to share your content and to learn and become a better leader in the process.
James, we discussed about many things. Again, I knew it was a very packed episode, and I love that. But maybe I didn't ask you something. Is there anything that either we didn't go in depth, or is there any main topics that you are either excited to talk about or something that you are following closely lately?
Well, I may turn the tables on you and ask for your perspective on dark social, right? This is a trend that I've been tracking, and more people taking to private messaging platforms like Discord, WhatsApp, even Telegram, right? So are you seeing brands embracing these dark social, these harder to measure private conversation platforms for leveraging people who've built kind of big communities?
It's a good one. I think that especially, new generation, we went from being on Facebook, where I do remember at the time, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were going out for maybe a party and then posting a full album of pictures with 300 pictures of them, right? Like, it was oversharing because it was the first time we were able to share every single part of our life. Now you have Gen Z that basically they do maybe a photo dump of 5 pictures, and then if they don't like them after a few months, they're gonna go on Instagram and remove them, right? So it's now it's like we don't want to post it everything online, but as you correctly said, you have more people in. The only challenge I would say with dark, it is that it's already difficult sometimes to track things online when it's public, let alone when it's in a closed group of people. Think just about privacy, right? It's very difficult to say who saw the post. If you, let's say, if we want to do it WhatsApp, for example, something is like WhatsApp for business is a bit different because still sort of like inside, but it's a B2B channel. But if we start talking about maybe a Discord channel, for example, or a server, or anything like that, it might be interesting, absolutely. But when it comes to tracking things, even if you want it, then it's like, can I actually look at this data? Can I extrapolate things if they're supposed to be private messaging, right? Can I actually get back to the brand and be like, hey, this is what we got, right, based on this ad and so on. So I think interesting to do maybe drop collections things, like something that is more like having this feeling of private drop of a new item on a menu or a new thing. So maybe hack type of things from brands to make them more personalized, custom, and having that feeling that you are in an enclosed group of community more than for the mass. And then when it comes to private messaging, I think that if social media if they're able to bring them together, the promo codes on social media, that would be great, because if you see an influencer that you like, right, promoting something, imagine if you were able to copy the link and send it to a friend easily, right, with the same promo code that is going to still be in the social media. In that case, everyone is winning, right? You get the discount, the influencer get more money, the brand sells more, and that I think is going to be even more prevalent in the dark messaging, right, the dark social, so private messaging, because you want to send it only to friends and family compared to the mass. So a big opportunities, but I think that between privacy and APIs and everything is going to be a bit difficult. But what do you think about that? Do you think there is opportunity there? Are you seeing any case studies?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that as we live more and more of our lives online, we express our identity in different places, right? So you've got places where you speak to close friends and family, more acquaintances or strangers, but you share, an affinity group or a bond, maybe like the same sports team or the same musician. And then you've got, these spaces where you want to learn. So maybe you're following real estate investing or crypto tips and tricks, right? So you've got kind of these different expressions of your online persona and different places where you connect and share content. And dark social has grown in prominence as a result, right? That, sometimes I want to be anonymous, right? Like on Reddit, or other times I want to express a different aspect of myself. My professional identities on LinkedIn and my personal identities on Instagram. So dark social seems to be kind of another reflection of that, and also the ability to create groups and community and foster, these smaller circles, but also tighter knit conversations, rather than just, the big broadcast platforms of here's everything about my life, where we used to do that, on Facebook 10 years ago, where it was a monolith. Now you've got kind of more fragmented expressions of identity online.
But I'm very curious. Thank you for asking that point. It's I think that no one talks enough about it, but it's a big chunk of the internet, right? Like the majority of things happens privately and not publicly. So you're totally right. It should be something that is right now is not like overseen. So might be an interesting topic for brands to look at. I just feel that they are still looking at things publicly. So, the other one is
too hard for brands to measure and get involved in. But maybe if brands want to launch a private community, hey, how do you find your Chipotle super fans and make a Discord for them? Or how do you, if you're Starbucks, how do you lean into your app experience and your rewards and provide social elements to that? Maybe with Web3, we'll see more brands embracing that sense of community and finding ways to reward their super customers.
Absolutely. And if you put gamification in that, as many brands are already doing with their apps, then you have a killer type of driver for traffic, foot traffic, traction, and so on. So absolutely. James, thank you so much for joining me today. We went through a lot, but I'm pretty sure that people listening in got a lot of knowledge from that. You are very knowledgeable about these. I've been in the industry for many years, so you saw it changing, and it's interesting to look into predictions and what is happening every single day in social media. So again, thank you so much for sharing that. Predictions plus anything else that is happening right now in the industry.
My pleasure. Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Amazing, James. Thank you so much again. This was the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you next week.